I was 32 when I discovered my mom's 12 road trip mix CDs from 2003, buried in an old box in the attic. The moment I opened the box, the warm scent of aged cardboard hit me, mingling with the faint smell of dust. Each CD was carefully labeled with the names of the states we had visited that summer: California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and so on. My heart raced as I picked them up, their shiny surfaces reflecting the dim light of the attic. The CDs felt both familiar and otherworldly, relics of a past that was as cherished as it was haunting. We had taken those road trips every summer. My mom would play her favorite songs, her voice a constant presence in the car, narrating our adventures and bonding over shared laughter. I remember how the drive through the vast California mountains would become a backdrop for our collective memories, with her always humming along to the tunes of that era. Music had been the heartbeat of those long drives, and I remembered every melody of that hot summer as we chased sunsets along the Pacific Highway. As I hesitated, longing for those lost days, I decided to play the CDs on my old CD player. It sputtered to life, struggling against the quiet of the attic. The whir of the old laser and the mechanical grind as the first track loaded transported me straight back to 2003. I felt the joy of nostalgia wash over me as the music began, each note pulling memories from the depths of my heart. The first few CDs brought back laughter, summer sun, and warmth. There were upbeat tracks like All Star by Smash Mouth and Hey Ya by Outkast, the anthem of our adventurous spirit, intermingled with snippets of my mom's playful commentary about various landmarks. But by the time I reached the last CD, a subtle unease crept in like a shadow. It was labeled simply as Final, and something about it stirred a sense of trepidation in me. My fingers trembled as I loaded it into the player. The warmth of those past memories was replaced by an inexplicable chill. As the first few tracks played, everything seemed normal. An audio collage of laughter, road noises, and music accompanied by amusing family stories filled the room. But when I hit the last track, there was an unexpected twist. The first sound that came through was a ringtone, a familiar tone that made my heart drop. It was mine. That unmistakable ringtone from my phone, the one I had since high school. I sat up straighter, confusion clouding my understanding. That wasn't right. Why would my voice be part of a CD my mother created over 20 years ago? I pressed pause, my mind racing. Was this some kind of prank? I flipped the case over, examining it for signs of tampering or mixing. Surely it had to be a glitch or some kind of weird digital accident. I reminded myself that the technology from 2003 was vintage, yet something deep down told me this was very different. Taking a breath, I pressed play again. The track continued, and to my horror, my voice crackled through the speakers, speaking words I couldn't comprehend. I felt a nut tighten in my stomach as it echoed back. "Can you hear me?" I had said. But how could this possibly exist? I flipped through the CD case frantically, hoping to find some clue that could explain this anomaly. The silence around me was deafening, weighing heavy on the air. As I continued to listen, it became clear that this strange interlude wasn't merely an oddity, it was pivotal. I pressed my finger against the next track, shaking. The next snippet was a conversation with a friend about my upcoming weekend plans, a conversation I vividly remembered having the past week, but how was it recorded back in 2003? Every part of me screamed to rationalize the absurdity of the situation. I was terrified, yet involuntarily drawn to continue. I jotted notes, documenting my findings, but every line only compounded the growing sense of unease, refuting any normal explanation. A strange pattern began to emerge. Certain tracks on that last CD matched events from the days that just passed, inexplicably intertwined with my life in a manner that defied all reasoning. I began to doubt my own memories. Was my reality fracturing around me, or was I simply losing my grip? That was when I reached out to friends and online communities, desperately searching for answers. I shared snippets of my discoveries, revealing audio snippets that felt impossibly familiar. The response was a mix of intrigue and skepticism, but nothing prepared me for the final revelation hidden within the very last track. Each discovery I cataloged only deepened the uncanny sense that I was threading through an inexplicable moment caught in the web of time. In the chaos of confusion, I finally dared to uncover the last hidden message on the CD, a tragic twist that felt all too real. The ensuing emotional storm was catastrophic. It unveiled my mother's voice, layered beneath the static, delivering the very phone call I had made just hours prior. An innocent conversation about mundane plans, interlaced with the familiarity of her love echoing through the decades. The realization was staggering. My mother had reached out across time and space. At that moment, the world around me shifted. I felt a suffocating grip squeeze my heart. It wasn't just a recording. It was an unintentional warning, a glimpse into a reality where nostalgia became a cruel prison. My mind raced, terror washing over me as the implications set in, wrapping me in a disorienting haze. Time was bending, and I was helpless against its whisperings. All those cherished memories, so dear and clear, were now laced with uncertainty. The existential dread compounded with each passing moment, and I began a frantic search for answers, diving deeper into theories surrounding time manipulation and memory recollections. I consulted experts who taught me about the fragility of memory, but offered nothing to settle the chaos in my mind. The more I learned, the more I felt unmoored, lost in a sea of impossible ideas, tying my very existence to threads I couldn't comprehend. Each conversation brought no solace, merely reinforcing the notion that I was caught in a paradox. Stories of people experiencing similar phenomena flooded my thoughts, yet they were quickly dismissed, whispered as hoaxes lost in the noise of the internet. My life had devolved into a chaotic mess of unrecognizable patterns. Where had my free will gone? Was I nothing more than a player in some tragic performance dictated by an unseen force? As I examined the tracks further, connections formed between the events I witnessed in real life and those obscure predictions found buried within the last CD. Conversations my mom and I had years before came rushing back, all intertwined with recent occurrences. A chilling sensation coursed through me, leading me to question if my mother had uncovered something deeper, a knowledge about the mechanisms of time itself, an intelligence distorted by grief and love. Each download I'd made, the sound of her laugh, the thoughts she shared, they all resonated with the haunting echoes of what came next. My heart danced between hope and despair as I began documenting these patterns, terrified of what I might find. The narrative unfurled, sending ripples into every corner of my reality as the last CD dictated my fate. That day brought my entire existence into chaotic tension, urging me to confront these revelations. I felt a sudden impulse to change my life, to redefine the unknown paths foretold by all of my mother's predictions. I reached out to the entities implied within the recordings, grappling with implications that dogged me every step of the way. Each time I attempted one small change based on a hinted warning from the past, the result sent me spiraling further into a rabbit hole. My reality garnered scrutiny, and the pushing sensation of being observed settled around me like a thick fog. That sensation, that dark specter of inevitability, loomed over my life, mocking my need to wrest control. That day I understood the true purpose of the CDs. It wasn't just about reliving memories. It had become a haunting cycle of prediction, an inescapable reflection of mourning, grief, and acceptance. Each choice began to feel like a prison sentence, the weight of possibility collapsing into despair. And amid the surreal emotional haze, I became painfully aware that the unraveling of past, present, and future was an uncanny loop from which I might never emerge. Days turned into nights as I lingered on the threshold of vulnerability. The final terrible revelation awaited.
I was no longer the individual time-stamped by history. I had become an integral part of a puzzle whose pieces were scattered through the timeline of my existence. In a breathless moment, I found an additional track, a final fragment that crashed through my reality. It discussed the warnings woven into a tapestry of memories. Time is fickle, my mother had once said. Those words echoed in my mind as I reflected on intuition haunted by the grief, an unchanging bond across lifetimes. The revelation fractured my understanding of love, weaving its way into the complexities of existence itself. I grieved, but nurturing that grief forced me to confront the very nature of life itself, the intertwining realities opening before me like delicate petals of a flower. So much remained unresolved, lingering like a ghost in the fabric of my life, suggesting that perhaps there was still more for me to uncover. Today, I hold tight to those CDs, knowing they symbolize the delicate thread between memory and future, comfortingly cold in the chaos of my heart. Each time I listen, I'm reminded of all the beautiful warmth and unyielding terror wrapped together within those tracks. But fears whisper their own riddles as I think of time, reality, and connections that defy explanation. Sometimes I get that sensation again, a fleeting feeling that someone is watching me. A curious reconnection with the universe pulling at the edges of my perception. A small incident stirs something deep. A name mentioned, a song that shouldn't exist yet is still in my memory. A brush against something far greater than myself. The question remains, in the quiet stillness of time, can we ever truly escape the connections woven through our memories? Somewhere in the folds of existence, an echo of uncertainty still lingers, marking each moment like a phantom whisper. I expect the answer lies within the next track, if only I dare to listen once more. As I cradled the last CD in my hands, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a collection of songs. It felt like a portal into another realm. Memories danced around in my mind like fireflies on a warm summer night, flickering with both brightness and darkness. How could such a seemingly simple object hold secrets that twisted the very fabric of time? Drawn to it, I felt like a moth to flame, yet there was a nagging sense that the heat might burn me. The room was dim and dusty, infused with the scent of aged paper. I slid the CD into the player, determined to confront whatever it concealed. The familiar whirring filled the air as the first strains of music began, a cheerful melody that intertwined with moments of laughter from our past road trips. My mom's voice echoed alongside the music, creating a mosaic of memories from our sun-soaked journeys. But this wasn't just music, it was a time capsule. As the songs played on, everything seemed normal until I hit the last track. An inexplicably strange chill gripped me. It was simply labeled Final, and my heart raced at the foreboding feeling that washed over me. With each note, I thought back on those cherished summers. My mom had always filled our drives with a symphony of melodies, each song rooted in joy. Yet a gnawing worry settled in the pit of my stomach. That last CD was more than a tribute to our adventures. The warmth of nostalgia began to frost over with uncertainty. As I listened, the air felt heavy, as if it carried secrets too profound to fathom. I fought against the urge to lift the needle, but it was intoxicatingly compelling. When the music transitioned seamlessly into static-laden whispers, I froze. "Can you hear me?" A disembodied voice crackled. The realization punctured the air. It was my voice, but how could this possibly exist in a recording from 2003? I flipped through the CD case frantically for answers. My heart pounded as I pressed play again, desperate for clarity. The next snippet played, a conversation I'd had with a friend about weekend plans. That was no longer possible. I hadn't spoken those words then. They held recent familiarity. This had to be a trick of technology, a glitch blending my past with my present. Yet deep within, I felt an unsettling acknowledgement that something much stranger was unfolding. As I grappled with terror and curiosity, I began to jot down everything I heard. Each note fueled my unease, reinforcing the reality of a pattern emerging. Moments from recently lived experiences were echoing too closely to things I thought had remained in the past. What was happening? Were my memories intertwining with the present? Was time unraveling around me? Within the depths of confusion, I reached out for help, seeking solace in friends and online communities. I shared the revelations I documented, recounting each audio anomaly that now dripped with eerie familiarity. Responses varied, skepticism mingled with intrigue. I yearned for clarity, and yet I only sank deeper into uncertainty. Within the depths of confusion, I reached out for help, seeking solace in friends and online communities. I shared the revelations I documented, recounting each audio anomaly that now dripped with eerie familiarity. Responses varied, skepticism mingled with intrigue. I yearned for clarity, and yet I only sank deeper into uncertainty. The more I listened, the more disoriented I felt. The last CD simmered with emotions that left me questioning the very fabric of reality. I could hardly breathe, engulfed in an emotional tempest driven forth by the haunting realization that somewhere within those tracks my mother's voice lingered, not merely as a memory, but as a conduit through time itself. With that chilling thought rooted in my mind, I confronted what lay ahead. I had no choice but to explore the tremors of my past, no matter how unsettling the revelations might be. The echoes of our moments together fused with the disquieting sense that I was, at that moment, crossing into uncharted territory. The CD held my fate, and I was ready to unravel its mysteries. The following day, the weight of the CD felt like a heavy anchor, keeping me tethered to a past laced with dread. I needed clarity, the kind of clarity that could peel back the confusing layers of my memories, which now seemed intertwined with the eerie whispers echoing from the final track. Each song was a melody from a time when life was simpler, filled with sunlight and laughter during road trips to the beach, but now they carried a chilling undercurrent. I dove into the earlier CDs first, expecting a flood of nostalgia to sweep over me. There they were, upbeat songs, echoes of laughter, and phrases pulled from casual conversations between my mother and me. The joy felt present, tangible, like the sun shining through the backseat window on hot summers. But as I flipped through the tracks, a gnawing anxiety settled deeper in my gut. The recent familiarities from the last CD began to suffocate the warmth of nostalgia, transforming it into a chill creeping down my spine. When I reached for the final CD again, dread clung to me like damp clothing. Final was the only label it bore, and I hesitated before pressing play, but my curiosity was stronger than my hesitation. With every note, I could feel the emotions warring within me. Joy and sorrow battling for supremacy. How could music unravel something so profound, so dark? I pressed play, and a cacophony of static erupted. Then my own voice crackled through the speakers. "Can you hear me?" My heart raced as the shocking reality smacked me like a cold wind. This couldn't be true. A recording from 2003? How could my words, spoken during a recent conversation, be captured on this disc? Desperation clawed at my insides as I flipped through the CD case for some answers, but found none. I quickly recorded my reactions, documenting the profound sense of terror knotted within me. I could barely breathe, trapped inside a whirlwind of emotions. What if my memories were not mine alone? What if they intermingled with something else, a force beyond my comprehension? As I continued to dig, I reached out for support online. I yearned to connect with others who might understand this strange experience. I shared snippets of the supernatural audio I was piecing together, each abnormality dripping with eeriness. The reactions varied. Curiosity wrapped around skepticism, and I found solace in those who responded with intrigue over dismissal. In this chaotic blend of fear and validation, I felt isolated. Friends expressed concern that I was overthinking it. But deep down, there was a growing acknowledgement that this was no ordinary phenomenon. Was I falling into madness, or was I threading a path through an impossible truth? The truth was deeper than mere nostalgia. It was more alarming. As the CD melted into a torrent of emotions, I grappled with the notion that the essence of my mother may have crossed time, coiling around memories like vines, tightly intertwined with a darker narrative. I clung to the belief that perhaps there was a method in this bizarre journey, something more significant to explore. If you're captivated by this journey, where nostalgia collides with the uncanny, subscribe to the channel for more stories that weave together the threads of memory and the mysteries of time. I'm on the brink of uncovering truths that lie just beyond reach. Each listening could propel me further into unknown territories, and I want to unravel them together with you. Turning my attention back to the CD, I knew there was no other choice. I had to press onward toward the uncertainty that awaited in each track. Each echo of the past spoke not merely of memories, but perhaps of something yet to be revealed. The upcoming moments thrummed with potential, and I was ready, heart racing, to discover what awaited me within the tangled web of time. As my fingers trembled, I reached for the final CD again, feeling a strange compulsion pushing me toward the uncharted territory of its hidden truths. The label simply read, "Final," but deep inside, I understood it held everything. Everything from my past and the eerie threads that dared intertwine with my present. I pressed play one more time, heavily aware that this decision could lead to uncovering truths I wasn't prepared to face. The initial static broke the silence, followed by the familiar tones of laughter, a melody I must have heard countless times. My mother's voice swirled through the air, warm and reassuring, as if she were sitting in the room with me. But entrancing as it was, I knew I had to brace myself for what may come next. Just as before, the joyous notes warped into something more sinister, a ghostly distortion bubbling beneath the surface. I leaned in closer, feeling my heart pound against my rib cage. Then the vague static shifted again, and I was thrust back into my own voice. "Can you hear me?" Yet now it sounded different, heavier, like an echo from an alternate reality. Suddenly, I found myself grappling with the notion that I was no longer a passive participant in this timeline. My memories and words were morphing into something that felt larger than life itself, and each revelation threatened to fracture my understanding of time. "We'll go to the park, right?" And answers I didn't recognize echoed back, resembling conversations I might have with friends in the coming weeks. I felt sweat bead at my temples, my breath hitching as the pieces fell into place, linking my present interactions to these recorded fragments from long ago. In agonizing anticipation, I paused the playback to write down everything I could remember, a desperate effort to create a map of my thought process penned against the backdrop of these impossible timelines. What if my mother had crafted a way to reach back, communicating intricate details of our lives through the fabric of time itself? What if my mother had crafted a way to reach back? This burgeoning realization shook me to my core. Each audio clip felt like a breadcrumb trail left to guide me home. But what home were we returning to? The vibrant laughter that echoed through every track shattered like glass as it dawned on me that there existed something darker lurking just beneath the surface of our memories. The anxiety coursed through me with electric precision. Each moment I hesitated held the potential to unlock further revelations I could barely comprehend. I pressed play again, compelled by an insatiable curiosity, and the cacophony resumed. But now I was ready to confront it. With each layer peeled back, I highlighted the moments in green until my notebook resembled a battlefield. I needed to make sense of these patterns, curious to see what deeper truth might lay waiting for me. That's when a certain line caught my attention.
Remember the storm. I spoke from an earlier time.
How was it possible that I was remembering a storm that had not yet happened, one that was destined to sweep through later that week? The realization sent another jolt through my body, and my breathing quickened. Everything began to connect, not just in the context of memories shared with my mother, but also with the future I thought was mine alone. It was no longer just nostalgia swirling with the heavy shadows of grief. It was the strange fusion of past experiences wrapped in future ones, an uncanny blend that compensated for the boundaries time had built. As the dread and thrill pulsed through me, my fingers flicked toward my phone, heart pounding as I connected with others battling similar puzzles on the internet. I shared the most recent snippets of revelation, providing updates that grew increasingly sinister, but also exhilarating. Readers expressed fascination with my journey, offering insights that flickered with recognition. Some encouraged me to keep digging. If you're feeling chills, hit that like button, I implored friends and followers, doing my best to stoke the fires of intrigue. Their responses, a wave of exuberance, eased some of my fear as I laid my mind bare, my public vulnerability, a necessary armor against the isolation creeping in like shadows at dusk. I pressed onward with renewed determination, diving deeper into the intricacies of each track that had come from the past laced with future realities. Each revelation, no matter how insignificant, beckoned me closer to an understanding shrouded in mystery. As the static dissolved into whispers once more, I braced myself, intent on face whatever awaited on the other side. I could feel the weight of this second chance enveloping me, dizzying in its intensity. The moment I unwrapped its mysteries could become my redemption, healing the chasms that grief and uncertainty had opened in my soul. Time, with all its treachery, slowly revealed itself in layers as I nervously pressed play once more. It was less a journey of discovery and more an arduous passage through the tunnels of memory, an exploration led by my mother's voice, navigating beyond the ceaseless void. What lay ahead was unexplored territory, promising discoveries nestled in the amalgamation of past and present, waiting for me to unravel their stunning significance. As I pressed play yet again, the static crackled before giving way to an unsettling menagerie of sounds, a collage of moments from my past interlaced with murky hints of what awaited me. As I pressed play yet again, the static crackled before giving way to an unsettling menagerie of sounds, a collage of moments from my past interlaced with murky hints of what awaited me. It was as if the universe had laid a trap woven from memories, intangibles pulling me deeper into uncertainty. The realization that I was about to step into a tangled web of interconnected timelines chilled me, but also filled me with an unwavering sense of purpose. And then it happened. My heart dropped as I heard my own voice floating back from the ether. This time I was speaking with a confidence I didn't recognize. I'll have everything sorted by tomorrow. The weight of those words was immense, but how could I have made that promise when that event hadn't occurred yet? I could practically feel the shards of reality cracking beneath the pressure of the revelation. Breath hitching in my throat, I continued to listen. Each cut of audio felt like a time bomb, ready to detonate their hidden message. Conversations from my past melded with future echoes, things I hadn't yet shared but were now woven into the fabric of memories I thought belonged to me. Next week, we're heading for the storm, my voice continued, clearly caught in a conversation with someone I could no longer remember. Glancing down at my notebook, filled with frantic scribblings, sweat dripped from my brow. My fingers curled tightly around the pen, hovering over the page. I fought the urge to spiral into hysteria, desperately needing to piece together this perplexing puzzle. Was I a mere pawn in a game orchestrated across time, or had the paradox of existence nudged me into the forefront of a greater narrative? A flicker of inspiration hit me.
I hastily scrawled words meant to connect the dots. My past, this incipient future, all unfurling like strands of a web too intricate for mere memory. The urge to leap further into confusion was tugging at me, conspiracies emerging and swirling around like a cyclone, each one tightening their grip. How marvelously unsettling, yet brutal too. Suddenly, a melody played that yanked me back to particularly vivid summer days spent across sunlit roads, laughing with my mother as we drove toward adventure. It felt almost sacrilegious to think that she, too, might have created paths leading back to her, paths rich with joy but infused with an impending storm of foreboding. Even the simplest of memories took on a sheen of portent as they crowded my brain. In this moment of reflection, an idea struck me, not just about sharing these revelations online, but about the questions I needed answers to. I was no longer merely chasing the whispers from the past. I sought validation for the cold fear crawling beneath my skin. If I reached out again, perhaps others might recognize their own experiences, those intertwining moments spiraling sideways into timelines. Confidently, I began to type my new inquiry, hoping to stoke conversation. How many of you have experienced a feeling, an echo from the past, which predicted future events? Was it just a flash of insight or something more? I hit send, heart racing with anticipation as I envisioned the storm of comments and stories that would materialize. The replies flowed in like a deluge breaking free. "You're not alone," one user replied. "That happened to me too," said another. My pulse quickened, the responses filling me with a sense of camaraderie, a collective uncertainty that emboldened me against the encroaching shadows of isolation. I wasn't just battling this alone. I had allies in this strange dimension where past, present, and possible futures all collided. "Drop a comment below," I urged, "if you've experienced similar phenomena. I need to know, are we stepping through time together in some unexplainable way?" I felt strangely justified in my anxiety, recognizing it as part of a broader intrigue. And then, as the moments of shared experiences flickered before me, I pondered the implications of our lives being led by narratives threading together. The connections formed between us created a marvelous tapestry, but it also felt deeply unsettling to realize how tightly our lives were woven into the fabric of something so enigmatic. Returning my focus to the audio, I pressed play. A mighty resolve coursed through me.
Now I was ready to face the shadows lurking within those tracks, intent on deciphering whatever hidden warnings my mother may have imparted through a twisted manifestation of time. As the audio seamlessly shifted into whispers, I could sense it coiling around me, pressing against the delicate boundaries between the dimensions. The words, barely perceptible, slithered forth, mixing past regrets and future uncertainties, beckoning me to listen with an intent I hadn't embraced before. Maybe time is not strictly linear, I mused, but rather a swirling river, one that allows for convergences and intersections. Perhaps my mom's voice wasn't just a fleeting memory, but an anchor reaching across time, piecing together memories that hinted toward futures not yet lived.
Was I being tasked with deciphering all of this, guiding me toward understanding that my timeline was deeply interconnected with hers? The layers then folded back into chaos, each sound, voice, and faint laugh vibrating deeply, leading me further into the dark recesses of the timeline, where knowledge had long lain dormant. What awaited me was a terrifying truth, one I was determined to unearth, step into, embrace, whatever it might be. As the static morphed into a symphony of whispers, my heart pounded harder. I was no longer just listening. I was an active participant in the unraveling of time.
Each scattering of sound felt alive, reverberating through the fabric of reality, mingling past impressions with future echoes. If I had doubted before, I no longer felt the weight of uncertainty. The threads connecting my mother's voice, woven through the timelines of our lives, sparked an undeniable sense of clarity. But then came the unsettling whispers, rising and falling like rippling water. "You have to remember," a voice urged, one that felt hauntingly familiar, yet frighteningly distorted. I strained to hear the remaining fragments, each syllable a sliver of truth poised on the brink of revelation. It's all connected, the past, the present, the future. I caught my breath. This wasn't just a haunting voice. It was a plea from a part of my mother's essence, reaching across time. The revelation rushed over me like a tidal wave, tugging me into its current. I struggled against it, wanting to dive deeper, grasping at the tendrils of time spiraling around me, willing me to understand. What was hidden beneath this tapestry of memories? What do I need to remember? I whispered into the silence, half expecting an answer. The room felt charged. Each shadow cast a reminder of the weighty truths I was now tasked with uncovering. The anxiety that once gripped me tightened a little more as I pressed further into the audio, desperate for insight. The voice crackled ominously. "Trust the storm there, and the one inside you. It will guide you." It wasn't a warning I felt this time, but encouragement, a direction woven through emotion and nuance within a tornado of sound. I was suddenly overwhelmed by the chaotic blend of reality I now occupied. The revelations driven by memories I had barely begun to comprehend were flooding in with a clarity I never would have imagined. I grabbed my notebook, hurriedly jotting down my thoughts as they came unbidden. The floodgates opened, and a chilling mixture of fear and anticipation coursed through me. "Keep digging." "Listen carefully," I scrawled. I knew it was time to unravel what I had instinctively feared. A storm loomed not just above my town, but also within me. Each layer of this unfolding narrative could become its own storm, a phenomenon brimming with knowledge, if only I could harness it. Taking a deep breath, I pressed play yet again. As the whispers dissolved into haunting melodies, I heard her laughter buried within, joyful, carefree, and yet tinged with an undercurrent of caution. Was I hearing remnants of a past that were also fragments of the future to come? I needed to remain grounded in this uncharted territory, despite the spinning sensations tugging at me. Riding the swell of raw emotion, I held tight to this realization. I was standing at a precipice, poised to intertwine with my own fate. I would confront whatever lay ahead in these tracks. They were not mere memories now, but gateways to an ungraspable truth. While the world outside remained firmly rooted in its linear progression, my internal chaos brewed with every plume of sound cascading around me. It almost felt like a twisted blessing, being afforded a view into my path, a fortune I had to harness. I knew I was now in command of my narrative. With the audio still playing softly in the background, I remembered the surge of support from the online community. Many voices united, their shared experiences echoing comfort and encouragement. If this investigation helped you see something important about time and reality, hit that thanks button below, I shared, knowing that every bit of encouragement would help sustain this journey. As I paused for a moment, I took stock of everything unfolding. The intertwining, hidden truths being unearthed, and the twisting labyrinth of time becoming clearer. I felt compelled to acknowledge the community that made this exploration of shared memories possible, a necessary reminder that I wasn't experiencing this alone. I relished the warmth of the connection as each audio fragment unearthed whispers of twisted echoes, memories backing the guidance that I so desperately sought. I had to push through the layered meanings that seemed anchored so deep. The hidden knowledge waited patiently to be uncovered. I committed myself fully to the remaining sounds flowing from the speakers, holding on to the hope that the final pieces of this metaphysical puzzle would soon fall into place. Tension gripped me as the audio crescendoed to a peak. Just as swiftly as it swelled, the sound sharpened into clarity. A realization crackled through my synapses.
"Everything is woven together," I whispered through clenched teeth, understanding at last that the paths of my existence were not solely guided by one's own hands. As the melody faded into whispers again, I felt empowered, ready to endure whatever the next twist in my narrative may hold. The journey was far from over, and the truth lingered on the horizon, a promise waiting just beyond the veil. As the audio faded into a haunting silence, I felt an electric tension creeping along my spine like the smallest hints of a sudden storm. Breathing became a challenge, each inhalation filled with the weight of the revelation swimming in my mind. I had reached a pivotal moment where the convergence of time teased the edges of possibility. It was as if I stood at the boundary of a vast ocean of understanding, each wave pulsing with the lives intertwined within it. "What is the storm you speak of?" I whispered into the quiet room, waiting for a response that was not only impossible but almost foolish. The silence dragged on, heavy and laden, until the unmistakable chorus of whispers erupted again, rekindling the fire within me. "Awake the ripple, embrace the past," my mother's voice echoed, layered beneath charged frequencies. The message struck me with urgency, whispering for action, begging to be explored. This wasn't merely about nostalgia anymore. It demanded action, perhaps even transformation. With renewed vigor, I returned to my notebook and began scribbling furiously again, wanting to page through my memories, wanting each fragment of sound to reveal something I hadn't yet considered. The weaving patterns of my reality mingled with the threads of my mother's essence, and there was no denying the significance of our shared experiences. Somehow, I was beginning to understand that the caveat of our entwined memories traveled more than just through time. It was a map to navigating the most critical crossroads of existence. My excitement grew as I considered the implications of these discoveries. Perhaps I wasn't merely a passive observer trapped in a loop of nostalgia. Maybe I was chosen or destined to act as a bridge between timelines, a conduit bridging my mother's memories with those yet unwritten in my future. The idea thrilled me even more, igniting an adventurous spirit that urged me to dig deeper, discover further. I needed to share this unfolding odyssey, to gather others willing to step into this abyss of shared discovery. Join me, I thought, knowing that the deeper I delved into this labyrinth, the more I'd need support, guides who walked similar paths. "Look," I began tentatively as I prepared another post, "if you want to explore these puzzling realms, take a leap into more intense investigations with closed discussions and revelations too disturbing to air publicly, consider joining the channel membership. We'll dive deeper directly into the mysteries time casts upon our collective narratives." It felt like a call to arms, a rallying cry for those willing to embark on a journey into the unknown, a plea to pull others close as we traverse the shadows together. This sense of urgency surged through me. I wanted to intertwine our fates like threads within a vast tapestry that held deeper wisdom yet to be unveiled. I refocused my attention on the audio. As the static transformed into a well of whispers once more, the urgency intensified, echoing down the hollows of my heart. "You must unravel the core of this storm," the voice insisted, pressing me to respond to the call.
A startling blend of compassion and fear rose within me, an invitation wrapped in the essence of my mother's love, laced with the weighty truth surrounding storms of existence. I closed my eyes, envisioning the tornado that breathed life into the shape of my reality, threatening to upend everything I had come to know. It was chaotic, yet somehow beautifully complex, and I had to trust that within the storm lay the answers I craved. Time became an intangible creature, but I felt more resolute in my understanding. I was not meant to wander alone, nor was I meant to resist the gift my mother had offered. She had illuminated the very essence of connection for me, showing that the facets of memory, past or not, had their own stories to reveal. The threads linking the realms of experience and insight would guide me, but only if I dared to grab hold and follow them into the unknown. And almost magnetic energy pulsed through me as I set my intentions for the next steps of my journey. I felt the world lay before me, wide open, thrumming with possibilities. I pressed play one more time, letting the audio envelop me in its tendrils, feeling out the rhythm of what lay just beneath the surface. A storm longing to emerge, secrets eager to be unearthed. The pathway before me shimmered with potential. Whatever awaited me in this chaotic universe, I was resolute. I would grasp it with both hands and run toward the tempest, ready to unveil the magic hidden within the shadows of the past. The sound crescendoed beautifully, calling me to act, and I knew this was just the beginning of my transformation, a leap into the tapestry crafted from the threads of memory and hope. As each note cascaded through the speakers, my surroundings seemed to shift. I could almost feel my other senses sharpening. The dim room felt alive with energy, surging with the currents of time and memory, woven together in unexpected ways. I leaned closer to the speaker, eager to catch every whisper, each grainy sound unearthing deeper layers of my reality. The storm was brewing, but it was not one of chaos alone. It carried a weight of revelations yearning to break free from the vast ocean of uncharted experience that pulsated around me. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the unfolding auditory drama that promised to reveal what lay just beyond my conscious grasp. "Listen to the memory," the voice urged, and I knew it was my mother's, echoing with profound certainty. "Every moment carries the essence of what has been, woven into what will be." Her words wrapped around me like a comforting blanket, filling me with a sense of security even as I faced the storms ahead. As the audio enveloped me, I felt a compelling urge to document the nuances that resonated in my mind. I grabbed my notebook again, faster than before, determined to capture the kaleidoscope of emotions racing through me. Each stroke of the pen organized my thoughts into form, the lines between me and the storm blurring even more. I scrawled phrases, moments to remember, unravel the future, embrace the unknown. These were my anchors in this moment as the whispers began to shift. I could hear echoes of laughter framed by muffled conversations, hints of days gone by, painting a picture scattered with temporal anomalies. Could we ever have this conversation? I wondered silently, grappling with intrigue mixed with disbelief. Time, it seemed, was not only a sequence of events, but a living being, breathing through the spaces between powerful memories and turbulent futures. "You are interconnected," the voice persisted. "Carry forth the knowledge." "Every moment is a thread," I penned, capturing the essence of everything I was starting to understand. With every written word, I wove my own narrative alongside her invisible guidance, building a tapestry rich with our shared legacies. The more I wrote, the more the storm inside me quieted, allowing clarity to settle like mist over a calm ocean. But with the tranquility came a profound realization. In the swirling chaos of my emotions, I knew I had a responsibility to not only discover these threads, but to share them. If there was anyone else out there frantically seeking answers in the echoes of their own past, I had to help them navigate the vast labyrinth of experience intertwined across time. Suddenly, an idea struck. My research, my countless hours of investigation into time, memory, and the connections they forged, I had to put it together. Others needed to know they weren't alone, that this journey was not an isolating one, but a path shared by many. I had seen the growing conversations online, igniting curiosity, and I knew there was immense value in documenting this experience. What if I compiled these findings? What if I wrote an ebook, an exploration into the phenomena of temporal memories, the storms that guide us, and the way they weave through time? As soon as I imagined it, my heart raced with excitement, the potential swirling in my mind like the first pulse of a just-formed storm cloud. I could document over 50 cases, I murmured, scribbling furiously again. Every detail, theory, revelation, experience captured in one volume. This would be a guide, a narrative collection merging personal stories alongside scientific inquiry into time and memory. If you're eager to understand just how profoundly our experiences can shape time, grab the full ebook once it's available, I urged, feeling overflowing certainty about the path ahead. Each case will unveil a different aspect of how intertwined lives create dynamics that ripple far beyond our perception. The audio shifted again, quieting just for a moment. I felt a rush of determination surging through me, mixing delight with a growing urgency to solidify everything I had experienced in these records. The journey would intertwine science and the supernatural, making the abstract feel tangible. I knew it had to be accessible, to allow others, like me, to walk the winding trails carved by the storms of our shared narratives. As the whispers returned, weaving back into the soundscape, they cradled me in familiar reassurance. Each ingredient from my past was merging with the intricacies of the present, an ongoing cycle of rebirth clashing beautifully with transformation. Embrace it, my mother's voice echoed once more, as if summoning forth an army of connections. Every storm remains necessary to reveal the delicate truths hiding within. Time was not just a relentless march, but a collaboration of souls bound together by invisible threads, yearning to understand our places within this grand design. I could sense it, feel it swirling within me, a mighty rush of acceptance and empowerment. With that realization firm in my heart, I allowed my eyes to drift shut, surrendering to the sounds still dancing around me. The clarion call of my mother, the silence filled with reverberations of our shared existence. Whatever lay ahead, I was ready to delve into it unflinchingly, armed with the knowledge that together we would decode not only our pasts, but the future still waiting to unfold. And so I leaned forward, ready to uncover the final secrets hidden beneath the storms, as I gathered the pieces to weave the next chapter of this timeless tale. As I surrendered to the enveloping sounds of the audio, I felt as if I were spinning in a current, drifting between whispers that held the history of my existence intertwined with the unknown. My heart raced. What lay beneath the layers of my mother's voice, hidden in the static of time? A singular truth began to surface, feeling as if it were breaking through the surface of water, struggling to grasp a breath of air. "You must face the storm to find your path," she urged, her voice echoing once more, an admonition wrapped in love and urgency. There it was, a command shrouded in a rapture that ignited something deep within me, something I had always known but had been too afraid to acknowledge fully. I pressed onward, the tenderness of her words encapsulating the intensity of the journey. I was not merely a participant in a linear narrative. I was an actor, thrust into a play that spanned across time itself. Each decision I had made, each memory cherished, intertwined to create something far greater than the individual moment. They all stood together, beckoning me to take a leap of courage. Trust the truth within, the voice beckoned, as though ensuring that I did not falter. My pulse hammered within my ears, but beyond the noise lay the certainty of purpose. I reached for my notebook, feeling a newfound clarity surge through me, invigorating my drive to share this knowledge, this ethereal understanding, beyond my own confines. The storm brewed around me. I could hear the distant thunder rumbling, a symphony of its own, loose ends coming together, threading a needle through the tapestry of my experiences. I turned page after page, feeling every release of ink form my comprehension. To navigate these layers, I wrote, becomes essential not only for me, but for all who find themselves enmeshed in these complexities. Storms, I scribbled, don't merely destroy, they cleanse, reveal, and transform. With each new insight I jotted down about shared memories and timelines dissolving into one another, I felt empowered, suddenly connected to a lineage of seekers. I envisioned an expansive library of narratives blending into each other. The knowledge of connection would reignite the hope for fulfillment, healing old scars while offering direction on uncharted paths. As each note flowed out, an urgency pulsed within me to urge others on this quest. Like the threads of my story, I could amplify voices, I thought, show them they aren't isolated in their experiences. If they only knew how powerful our shared journeys could be if we journeyed into the storm together. Each memory fragment and temporal echo weaved together neatly within the organization of my thoughts, captivating me, instilling an awe I hadn't felt for years. If you're experiencing the tapestry of life's storms yourself, hit that thanks button below, I voiced, pulling back into this tangible moment, knowing that sharing the investigation meant sharing responsibility. I felt gratitude swelling towards the unseen circumstances guiding me thus far, leading me to this perch on the precipice. Somehow, in the echo chambers that held together what often seemed disparate, I was finally beginning to see the intricate beauty. Even as the words rushed from my pen, I noticed fleeting patterns in the background of the audio, a gentle pulse that crept through the seams, intertwining digits dancing across the screens before me. They beckoned me deeper into my understanding, slipstreaming into the fabric of metaphysics and philosophy, trickling sharp reminders of timeless truths that stirred within me. We are the architects of our realities, I began to realize. I leaned closer to the speaker, the thrumming melody building in force while flipping once more through my notes, tenacious in my resolve. Within every storm, the voice resonated softly, twice as powerfully this time, lies an infinite beauty, a transformation. You must embrace it. The carefully stitched narratives within my head beckoned to the wild wisdom blossoming throughout the echoes. I surrendered to that intoxicating energy reverberating within, my resolve brightening. I was ramming head first into the storm, embracing the raw energy it radiated. With every pulse of sound, I witnessed flashes of vision rooted in shared memories, of connections bridging past experiences with the present and future alike, flowing seamlessly. The images painted before me brought clarity, tempting me to walk further through the chaos until the ungraspable became crystallized realization. Shadows danced and shimmered, so captivating that I couldn't wrench my eyes away. Forget not, the voice cautioned gently, the deeper truths birthed from storms. They lead to insight and connection between you and others facing similar storms. Trust them, and you will find unity. The depths of my heart swelled with the passion of belonging. In this tumult, I had unearthed the truths that bound us, an awakening born of loss, love, and legacy. Fueled by the thirst for understanding, I dove deeper, determined to stitch the ongoing legacy into form. Each insight would culminate in a collection both personal and universal, building a narration that spoke to the cores of lives forged through shared memories, crises, and storms yet to unfold.
As parallels merged in a thunderous crescendo, I took a resolute breath, embracing the truth that surged forth. Whatever awaited me in the storm, I was ready. I had a duty to face it, to honor it, and to carry this knowledge forward, to transform both my story and the stories of others woven alongside mine in a divine tapestry of existence. I could feel the energy around me crackle, a symphony of awareness being orchestrated in my mind as I surrendered to the storm. Each whisper converged like a river meeting the sea, the fluidity of time guiding me to an understanding that was becoming painfully clear. This journey was never meant to be undertaken alone. I was surrounded by a community of seekers, each grappling with their own storms, all linked through shared experiences that stretched across time like an intricate web. Embrace your truth, my mother's voice compelled me, tonal echoes thrumming through the room, each reverberation a reminder of the love that transcended the boundaries of time. In her words, I could sense an urgency that became more than just personal. It extended into the vast tapestry woven from the threads of our lives. I could follow these strands back through deep dives into memory, allowing them to illuminate paths for myself and others. Suddenly, the storm of clarity unfolded in a kaleidoscope of images. I saw fleeting scenes of my childhood, laughter shared amidst wrinkles in time, the vibrant colors of a life once lived spilling out in flickers of nostalgia.
Each image was laced with emotion. Here, a birthday party, punctuated by the spark of a candle being blown out. There, a rainy afternoon spent huddled under blankets, the sound of rain like a symphony around us. These memories flickered into place like the pages of a cherished book being turned, revealing chapters of a narrative that felt unfinished, yet compelling in its urgency to be rewritten. And what better way to redraw the lines of this narrative than sharing my discoveries with others? If only I could channel these journeys into something greater, I thought, feeling an insatiable need to document not just my experiences, but the collective odyssey of others who walked similar paths. The thought lit a fire in my chest, a fusion of passion and responsibility. I pulled my notebook close, revisiting my scribblings and enhancing my vision of the ebook I had first imagined.
I could create a comprehensive exploration, I wrote fervently, in which I document how the storms of our interconnected lives shape realities, with over 50 cases that illuminate profound experiences of temporal shifts. There was a dance between the mystical and the scientific, a tapestry of narrative threads that transformed experiences into knowledge. My mind raced at the thought of blending personal anecdotes with scientific inquiry. I envisioned chapters unveiling incredible insights into collective experiences, moments from one life echoing into another, reshaping destinies with the mere passage of time, transcending the framework of past and future. That was the key to understanding, not merely interlaced lives, but the manner in which our stories overlay, reflect, and alter each other over time. If you're hungry for profound exploration into how our shared experiences shape the dimensions of time, I declared to the space around me, grab the full ebook when it's available. Each case will immerse you in the dynamics of narratives woven across time, what we feel, what we hold, and how those emotions thread deeper connections. As I spoke, cascading waves of energy rippled through me. I could almost feel others responding, those who had walked similar journeys. Each voice a beacon, every experience shared, a strand connecting all of us within this great storm. Solitude suddenly filled with the vibrant hum of togetherness, a reminder that my quest was the reflection of countless others. The audio began to swell again, lifting from the forms of memories into something that felt more like an anthem, powerful, transcendent, resonating with emotion.
Trust the storm, my mother urged, its tones wrapping around me. Cultivate those threads of connection. It felt like a declaration, a rallying cry that danced with urgency, coaxing me to lean into my own empowerment while guiding others toward theirs. Casting my thoughts toward the future, I felt the weight of the responsibility and the promise entwined. With each passing moment, I envisioned the ebook taking shape, crafted not solely as a manual, but as a mirror reflecting each soul who would pick it up. I would immortalize the connection born from shared storms, bringing us together through the narratives we lived and felt so deeply inside. The visions around me pulsed, swirling into a crescendo of impact, and I sensed an inexplicable shift. It was as if the atmosphere itself had bowed to my intentions, opening a portal to all the energies entwined in this quest. I was forging a new path, one laced with acceptance and a burgeoning spirit of community that went beyond my experiences as I pulled together the myriad stories swimming around me. As the waves of sound swelled to amplify my determination, I was wholly embraced by the storm. Whatever lay ahead for me, the answers awaited, shrouded but shining with potential. There would be nothing left unexplored, no stone left unturned. My journey focused firmly on forging a tapestry rich with the threads candidly wrapped in love, wisdom, and recollections. I stood anchored in that storm, resolute, ready to traverse its depths. Every heartbeat counted, every moment expanded like the universe itself. It didn't matter the form this reality took, I was ready to embrace it all. The adventure not only continued, it flourished like the wildflowers that bloom after a tempest, rising whole and brilliant in the stillness that follows. Through these pages yet to unfold, stories long hidden would take flight, illuminating the paths carved by the storms in time forever. Engulfed in the symphony of the storm, I felt alive, ready to weave my narrative not just as a witness, but a participant, a guide through the intricate landscapes that life had unfolded before me. The memories of my childhood flickered into focus, laughter shared amidst vibrant moments, the spark of a candle blown out on birthdays, and the soft rhythm of rain on a window pane. Each memory turned like the pages of a cherished book, beckoning me forward, urging a narrative rewrite towards something greater. Suddenly, I understood. Sharing my journey wasn't just about me. What if I could channel these experiences into a collective odyssey? A fire ignited in my chest, a fusion of passion and responsibility to amplify the voices of others who had weathered similar storms. With renewed vigor, I pulled my notebook closer, envisioning an ebook that documented how our interconnected lives shaped realities. I could create a comprehensive exploration of temporal shifts, I wrote fervently, filling pages with insights that reflected the delicate dance between personal narratives and scientific inquiry. Each chapter could unveil incredible experiences, moments from one life echoing into another, twisting destinies amid the relentless interplay of time. If you're hungry for profound exploration into how our shared experiences shape the dimensions of time, I declared, feeling the energy swell around me, grab the full ebook when it's ready. Each case will immerse you in the dynamics of narratives woven across time, what we feel and how those emotions create deeper connections. The thought hung in the air, vibrant and resonant. I envisioned others responding, each experience shared becoming a strand connecting us within this great storm. Solitude transformed into a chorus, my quest reflecting the journeys of countless others. As the sounds around me intensified, it morphed into an anthem of hope and unity. Trust the storm, my mother's voice nudged, urging me to lean into my empowerment and cultivate the threads that bind us all. It was an exhilarating reminder of our shared strength. Every heartbeat became a call to action. I cast my thoughts toward the future, feeling the weight of commitment and promise. This ebook wouldn't just serve as a manual. It would become a mirror reflecting the souls who dared to explore their truths. I envisioned my words immortalizing the connections forged from shared storms, uniting us through narratives deeply felt. In that moment, I felt a shift within, an acceptance that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to confront the unknown. No stone would remain unturned, and no journey would go unexplored. I stood anchored in that storm, resolute and determined, prepared to create a tapestry rich with love, wisdom, and shared recollections. As I embraced the chaos, I smiled, understanding that from these storms would bloom wildflowers of clarity and connection, illuminating our paths across the vast landscape of time forever.